Ever since Disney released the live-action remake of Little Mermaid with a black actress as Ariel, it has sparked conversation on the importance of diversity in film and movies, and the side effects. For some people, television is getting too woke and ruining the beauty of movies. But is it truly woke for minorities to get more representation in movies? Or is this yet another blind outrage? Should there be less diverse characters in movies? Should things stay the way they have always been, or is there a better solution? For the longest time, Hollywood has always prioritized white characters and predominantly white movies. Then when people started complaining of low representation, they started including people of color in their movies. We see this in Big Bang Theory, where there is one character of color and throughout the show, the actor makes stereotypical Indian jokes and remarks, causing anger from Indians years later about the insulting nature of the show. When Hollywood is trying to be diverse, if they don't lean into racist ideologies, they include the diverse character as a side character. The character tends to not have any depth to them apart from their skin color, and that already shows that Hollywood doesn't particularly understand the relevance of diversity. When the trailer of the live action of Little Mermaid was released, people, particularly white people, were angry. In the cartoon, Ariel was white, but in the live action, she was played by Halle Bailey, and that was unacceptable. How could a black girl play the role of a mermaid? That was the common sentiment if we say it for what it actually is. Ariel was half fish, half human. The reason people loved her was because she was a mermaid. So why are people suddenly angry that a person of color was playing the role of Ariel? Many critics have tried to say the anger is not about race, but even a child could tell that people were more angry about the skin color of the actress because that was the only thing that changed. People who watched Disney cartoons as kids didn't want their favorite cartoons to look unfamiliar in their eyes, even if that meant they had to ignore the live-action remakes. Disney didn't seem to care about what the people wanted and went on to cast Yara Shahidi, another black Arab actress, for the role of Tinkerbell in the live-action remake. Initially, the company didn't seem like they were moving in a diverse direction, but when the Tinkerbell casting was revealed, it was evident that they were being political. The United States is currently at the point where the black community is more vocal about their wants and needs. The community wants more representation in television, and production companies are seeing that movies that highlight the strengths of black people are gaining attention, so they are moving in that direction. But a mistake these production companies are all making is that they are giving their diverse characters any depth. Most times they are just throwing the characters into the mix without giving them their background story and just making them seem like a piece of decoration. Hollywood does this with movies that should have strong female protagonists. The writing of these characters are weak and treated with so much levity that when they are revealed to the world, they get a lot of hate. For example, in the remake of the Ghostbusters, the main cast were all women and people complained that it derailed from the original story. The jokes were not funny enough, and critics came to the conclusion that they should just stop making movies with strong female leads. It was obvious that people were leaning into their inner sexist to come up with these conclusions, because for years, women have been given side characters in movies, and that has not helped them thrive. Now that they are getting better roles, people are asking for it to stop when there should be a different solution. The success of a movie is heavily dependent on the writing. If the characters are not given good storylines, what then are the actors supposed to translate? This is not to say that there aren't bad actors who ruin the stories with their poor acting, but calling for an end to diversity because of bad acting is counterproductive. In most movies where female leads are included for the sake of diversity, it's usually a knockoff of a movie that once had a male protagonist. For example, people complain that there were too many female ideologies in Terminator Dark Fate. Feminist ideologies have always been a problem because many people see it as pushback on their choices when that's far from the truth. However, Hollywood has a way of portraying feminism as a weapon that women use to avoid accountability. Whenever feminist ideas are brought up in movies, they are expressed in the cringiest way possible, making the movement seem like a joke, and that's embarrassing. It's important for the industry to do a better job at creating stories that are centered around their diverse cast, instead of treating their diverse cast as an option. Another example is She-Hulk. Instead of creating a movie that was based on the life of a woman related to the Hulk with the same abilities as him, Marvel could have made a standalone movie about a woman with super strength with no connection to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If that was how they included the diversity, the movie may not have gotten as much outrage. But it's hard to please viewers because most of their opinions are based on what is popular. A Marvel movie with a female-led cast was released in 2024. Despite being a standalone movie with no correlation to the Marvel Universe, fans of Marvel were angry at the movie. They thought the movie was a flop and didn't deserve a place in theaters. Some even went as far as body-shaming the actresses and calling them bad. The reviews were embarrassing to say the least. While it may be true that the movie didn't live up to the hype, it was evident that the writers wrote a poor story. According to an internet user, the writers created the movie to show producers why they should stop investing in female-led movies. The problem with inclusivity in movies is that the diverse characters are created as side pieces, with no overall relevance to the core of the story. Some people like to argue that because of this diversity, the large percent of white people that didn't have their needs met would boycott the production companies including diverse characters in their movies. But that's a laughable argument, considering that white people are the majority in Hollywood. Almost everything that has been created in Hollywood revolves around the preservation and interest of white people. So, a few movies with a diverse cast can absolutely not eradicate them, not even in 100 years. The only thing diversity in movies would do to white people is make the ones who can't handle themselves feel rejected. Even black producers are creating movies about white people. For example, Tyler Perry. He created a TLC series with a predominantly white cast, and it got backlash from the black community. So it will be impossible to get rid of white people in Hollywood. The only message to producers that want to have diverse characters in their movies is for them to try harder when creating storylines for these characters. The writers need to stay away from stereotypes about these characters and create more compelling stories for the actors. For example, a movie based on girl power doesn't need the female lead telling the male characters that she can do everything they can do and even better. They can instead just show her being an action star without the cringe conversations that most likely won't happen in reality. If a movie with a black character as the lead is going to be created, it doesn't need to highlight the sufferings of black people or make the character come from dysfunctional families. Instead, the black character can represent hope for their community, or simply just have a time of their life throughout the movie without any pain. When writers base their characters off of harmful stereotypes that have been used to keep people down for centuries, they are showing that they don't care about the history of the characters and why that character should even exist in the first place. This point again brings us back to Disney and their recent cartoon with Nigerian characters. For years, Nigerians haven't gotten representation on Disney. They were always painted as fraudsters. But when Disney announced a new Nigerian cartoon, many people pointed out the fact that it was a terrible move, considering that Nigerians don't have access to Disney+. So a cartoon that was supposed to give Nigerians representation is something that Nigerians can't watch. What then is the point of the representation? This example is a perfect representation of what happens when diversity is considered just for the sake of talking points. It's obvious virtual signaling, and only ignorant people would deny that fact. Disney is aware that Afrocentric ideas are getting so much attention, and they want to make their big bucks off the idea while they still can. The essence of representation is to show people that they matter. But how can people know they matter if they can't even access the first cartoon from your company about them? It's evident that most movies only include diverse characters for the money. Marvel announced the release of a movie called The Marvels and casted a Korean actor, Park Seo-joon. The company wanted to appeal to a new audience, and when the trailer dropped, that demographic excitedly rushed to see the movie. However, they were disappointed when they found out that Park Seo-joon barely got any screen time, and they were just deceived. Marvel was not the only movie company using false advertising to attract people, and it's surprising the lengths these producers go to just to make money. People are excited to watch movies that make them feel seen and heard, and if you see it as something to capitalize on, then you might as well just focus on your regular movies that you've been creating for years. The truth is, diversity is actually not ruining movies, but killing creativity. Writers are forced to recreate the same ideas, but include a few new characters that shouldn't be there in the first place. If you will make diverse characters, then give them their unique stories.